Amanda from Pontes Books, here with our first video for Chapter 9 of Prince and the Pauper, our vocabulary focus. So our focus for today is the word vast. So vast is one of those that's kind of hard to find a picture for, but hopefully this kind of captures the essence of the word. So a vast desert is what you can kind of see in the picture. And again, if you already know the definition, hopefully that makes sense. So our definition is something that is very great in size, amount, extent, or range. So really, really big, really, really long, really, really large, vast can use to describe all of those things. There weren't any really like facts or characteristics I could really think of other than kind of the synonyms, which became my examples. So it's often used before the word majority modern day. So you hear people a lot of times talk about the vast majority. That's, I feel like, one of the times where I hear that word used very often. But so some examples of this word, really, these are just synonyms, could be large, wide, expansive. So our non-examples are kind of like antonyms for this one. Small, thin, tiny are not examples of vast. Our etymology is, again, always forgive me on my Latin, vastus, meaning immense, extensive, huge, desolate, unoccupied, empty. So that meaning has pretty much carried over pretty close, and the spelling pretty close from the original Latin. Some example sentences. So our straightforward sentence, the astronauts in the space station stared down at the vast surface of the earth below. And the sentence from our chapter from The Prince and the Pauper, at 9 in the evening, the whole vast riverfront of the palace was blazing with light. So this word gets used fairly often. Most of the words that I choose are ones that show up multiple times throughout the story. So we're talking about things that are just, and when you're talking about royals, that comes up fairly often, things that are vast, a vast palace that's very big. So the vast riverfront of the palace, that's probably going to be one of the more impressive sides to look at the palace, because a lot of people would have come upon it from the river, and it just was this impressive, huge looking structure. So some other forms are vastly would be the adverb form, and vastness could be a noun form of it. So besides us using the term the vast majority, there weren't a whole lot of modern day connections that I thought to make to it. So instead I chose to focus on something that is vast and that blows my mind whenever you hear statistics. And so that would be space for me. And so I'm always just blown away by some of the numbers of how big things are, how far away things are. So I chose a few of those for our examples for vast. So how vast is space? So the first thing, how many stars are in the sky? So that's kind of like an infinite amount, so it's impossible to know. But in our Milky Way galaxy, they were able to somewhat calculate a rough number, although I'm sure this could be off by, millions or hundreds of millions or whatever. But they say estimate about 100,000 million stars in the Milky Way galaxy alone. So if you've ever been trying to count the stars in the evening sky, I once had a math teacher tell me that that was the closest way to comprehend the concept of infinity, was just sitting and trying to count stars and just getting nowhere. But 100,000 million, that is significant. So how big is the observable universe? So anything that we can't observe would be pretty much impossible to detect how far that goes. But the observable universe, they estimate to be about 93 billion light years to the edge of it, kind of like the diameter across it. So if you are like, okay, I have no idea what that means, put into perspective, if you were going in the speed of the fastest man-made object ever, I don't even know that there was a human in this, but it is a man-made object, the fastest man-made object ever, it would take you 4,269 years to travel the distance of 1 light year, because you would have to be traveling at the speed of light in order to travel the distance of 1 light year in a year. But it would take you 4,269 years to travel one of those, and it's 93 billion of those to get to the edge of the observable universe. Just blows my mind, so vast. And then lastly, how big is the sun? 1 million Earths could fit inside the sun. The Earth is pretty big. Most people haven't had a chance to hit every spot on it, and 1 million of those could fit inside the sun. So blows my mind. That's it for the word vast. Have a good rest of your day.